Hey guys, my name's Ellie and I'm a junior at St. Paul's Episcopal School in Mobile, Alabama. I'm 17, so it's a little quick, nice to know you little introduction. In case you don't know where Mobile, Alabama is, it's this little coastal town in like right next to Florida. Literally, I mean, it's like an hour and a half drive from me. Very beachy. I mean, it's hot here pretty much year round, so I'm starting this little addiction talk as my little addiction series for my capstone project. We do months of research before making a product with that, and I'm obviously not a professional, but I've literally been every single day in this class, been doing research on more scientific parts of addiction. I have a lot of personal experience with this too, just with my family. Literally in my everyday life, I've experienced the effects of addiction, so yeah. It's really nice to meet you all. I really hope you enjoy my little series. So first I'll answer some obvious questions of just like what I'm going to be talking about. I'll be covering what addiction is, how it works, how it affects the brain, how it affects you and other people around you. And I'll be sharing my own personal knowledge and eventually other people's knowledge about it as well. Also, in case you don't know what a capstone class is, it's basically a college course where, now it's a high school course obviously for me because I'm in honors, where you take a specific topic. I mean, it's usually really broad, like mental health or domestic violence or environmental changes, or if you want to make a model rocket. Like, it can be genuinely anything. You research it for a long period of time, then you make a product with it that's usually educational and clear evidence of the amount of work you put into your topic. So this is my project, doing a little podcast on it and just sharing all the information I know, sharing all the stories I know, and just reaching out to people out there who are struggling or also may know somebody else that is struggling and they want to help them. So I said before, I've been researching the more scientific side of addiction because I'm very well aware of its reality because I've experienced it literally throughout my whole life. I'm going to keep researching also because addiction has so many layers. I know a lot, but I don't know everything, so I'm going to keep working. So yeah, now that I've gone over some of the basics, I'm going to start off with a simple definition of addiction. Oxford Languages states that addiction is defined by the chronic need or desire to just have something or want something or take something, which can literally be anything like sex, drugs, alcohol, all of the things. Literally. I mean, you see these people on TLC, My Strange Addiction. Most of the time, that's actually real. And even if they're playing a stunt, there's somebody out there that is genuinely like this because addiction is seen in all types of ways. I mean, what do you think about phones and social media? That's an addiction too. I also have some like little statistics just so you can see a general perspective of like how many people and just like how it's really affecting other people, I guess, the reality. Okay. Around 21 million Americans are affected by drug and alcohol abuse, but come on. This number is probably not 100% accurate because there's a lot of people out there who are never going to say that they're addicted. So, and you also are including the number of people who have other addictions besides drugs and alcohol. So let me just say that there's a lot. So if you ever feel alone, trust me, you're not, because there's probably somebody else going through the exact same thing that you're going through. They have been through similar situations and are dealing with the same exact things. Promise you're not by yourself. So sadly, only 2% of this number of people actually get help and get treatment, which it's really not a lot. A lot of people can't because I guess it's not available, they don't have the money, or they just simply have no awareness that they're actually an addict, which this is a lot of the cases. Like a mental illness can really blind somebody just emotionally. So if you're a normal person that, I mean, people who are addicts really don't have the normal functioning brain, but someone who is also suffering like addiction and then they also have another mental illness right next to that, the blindness goes from here to here. So there's a lot of things that factor into it. Also, a lot of addiction starts below the age of 18, like so my age and younger pretty much, which can really explain why a lot of addiction happens in the first place, but I'll get to that later because that's a whole video in itself. Sadly, a lot of parents mistake their children's like rebellious, aggressive, depressive, or as normal adolescence development, but a lot of these children are genuinely suffering from some sort of depression or anxiety or other underlying mental illness, such as bipolar disorder, borderline personality disorder. I mean, it can be literally anything. I mean, technically, I know you can't get a diagnosis until you're 18, but a lot of these signs start showing up very early, even if you get diagnosed later on. If you think back to your childhood and think that you have, I'll explain the addicted mindset later, but once I show you the signs of that, like, this mindset is what creates addiction. So if you have that early on and you're later diagnosed and you're also an addict, there you go. Recognizing these behaviors in your siblings and your children and your friends and literally anyone will help lower the addiction rates, because a lot of the time these people feel very alone and feel like they can't confide in anybody else, like they aren't deserving of trust or kindness or love or anything like that, because usually someone who's an addict, their self-esteem is genuinely very low. So if they have someone that they can rely on, someone that's looking out for them, it'll really help them and benefit yourself too, because, I mean, doing a good deed always makes you feel good. And it's also just kind. It's good to do kind things for others when you know that they're struggling. Addiction is not a short-term issue. Sorry to anyone who thinks it is. Getting drunk every single weekend in high school or going out and doing all of the drugs possible all the time. Like, that's just something you can be like, oh, I'm going to stop doing this. Because a part of addiction, a part of drugs especially, like vaping and all the things, nicotine is very addictive. Pills are very addictive. They're made to be that way. So if you already have, like, a very, like, fragile mindset and a very fragile life, very fragile ego, heart, anything, the nicotine is not going to help that. It's going to make it worse. It's going to just catalyze your now addiction. A short-term problem can really cause that. I mean, even though loss or losing a friend or losing a bunch of money is not a short-term problem, something happening like that can be a surface type of issue, like something you would see like, oh, well, that's why they're struggling. Yes, but also no, because it's a chain reaction. Addiction is genuinely a chain reaction. It is it's evidence of just a long history of trauma, a long history of just bad experience, bad choices, and poor development. So I'm really sorry for anyone who has been struggling for that long, who's been struggling since they were 5, who's been struggling since they were 12, who's been struggling from literally day one. Using a substance as a way to cope is what creates addiction in the first place. I mean, that's literally addiction. I mean, if you don't think you can confide in anybody else, or you're just genuinely alone and no one cares about you, you're not going to go to your friend, you're not going to go to your mom, you're not going to go to your dad to go ask them for help, especially if you're in fear of being judged. So you turn to something like alcohol. I mean, using this as a coping method is so unhealthy and very toxic, and you might think it's going to work now. You're going to regret that later on whenever you can't stop. That's what addiction is. You can't stop regardless. You can't control yourself anymore. That's the problem. I mean, do you think most people who have been alcoholics, who have been drug addicts, have been sex addicts, do you think that they would choose this life if they could? I mean, you can't. It's a disease. Something that's usually uncurable. It just happens and never goes away until you start reaching out, until you do the work, until you have the resilience and have the hope that you're gonna be better, and that you can change the way you think. You can change reality. So people who don't have hope, that's what happens. I understand how reaching out is very difficult, especially when you're concerned with how others are going to treat you. But I promise you, I know and I understand, and I'm not going to judge you. I'm really just here to listen. I'm really here to just share my advice and share my knowledge of addiction. So please, please, please reach out to me if you're struggling. Reach out to me if you're going off the deep end. If you need help and you're scared and you don't want to call like a genuine like suicide hotline because you're scared they're not going to answer, you're scared that it's going to cause a ton of issues, you can come confide in me and it's not going anywhere. I mean, I don't know any of you. So please, my DMs are always open. Please, please, please reach out if you need anything. I will be gladly here to help and listen. I'll try to respond as quick as I can. I mean, I'm in school for 7 hours a day, and I'm busy a lot, so please just wait and give me time. But I will see you guys next week. I hope you all have a great and lovely, lovely, lovely day. And please, please, please strive to be better. Always. I strive to be better. You should strive to be better. Yep. Bye, guys.